Sometimes I wonder whether these things are just sent to test us, to see whether we're actually mad enough even to attempt them. It was really a case of breaking down what do these cages need to do, what are the potential risks.
The highest ones are dropping from, 8-9 metres up. So the starting point has to be, how can we achieve this safely?
It's got to be safe, but it's also got to be repeatable. These cages have got to survive the event. And obviously if you're dropping 30 odd cages onto a stage floor, it's going to make a hell of a bang.
We came up with 3 prototypes to start off with. We thought we'll rule out the obvious materials. So we made one in steel, we made one with aluminium, and we made a third one using a type of cane called kubu. And the next thing to do was to take those onto the stage and literally drop them from 9 metres up and see what happened. As we all predicted, there was a very loud bang. They all collapsed, they all shattered, and even if they survived and were distorted, that's not repeatable.
So this is the aluminium cage after 10 drops. We can see it starting to deform.
We picked up on the idea of using a soft material, something that wasn't rigid.
So that when they're hanging there, they're hanging under their own weight. With that solution, all you've got is a flat pack on the floor when it hits the ground. Paul's team then took that the stage further.
In all of this, you're looking at energy dispersal. So you're looking at providing some sort of shock absorber. We decided to make ourselves a little homemade piston out of 2 pieces of plastic tube crammed full of expansion springs. And we sort of jammed that in there and it held it open beautifully. And we're like, okay, this is good. And we were able to drop it and the cage dropped and it survived and it bounced open again and just sat there looking like a bird cage. And we just sort of went, there we go, there's our moment.
We've now got some cages that look like they could work, but obviously they've got to be suspended from something. Typically, what we call the kabuki effect in theatre, where something drops at an instant, is quite an understood and frequently repeated effect. But generally you do it with fabric, lightweight materials. We were dealing with multiple cages, up to 38 kilos in weight each. So we went back to simple mechanics and actually had to design and build our own mechanism. Looking at simple mechanics, if you've got a garden rake on which all of your cages are hooked, you need to be able to tip that garden rake so all the objects will fall off. You need a way of keeping the garden rake in the upright position and a way of releasing the thing on cue. So we came up with an idea, and there's an illustration here. We prototyped the system, we manufactured it locally, but in those late rehearsals we were still having challenges. So we had to go back through the process, make sure that every mechanism was working correctly. So yeah, it took a while to get all of that working.
This is weeks and months of research development work. Hours of setup, each cage goes through its own rigorous check to make sure it's in perfect condition to fly, and the whole effect is done in seconds. And this happens so often in things that we do. The process to get to what is an absolute snapshot in a moment in a show, and that always still makes me chuckle.